This is a test. One, two, three. Here we are. I'm going to do, this is number two of the 19th of November. Still have insomnia. I had a little alcohol. I did a little drawing here. This is just, I don't know. But I just wanted to mention quickly. I was perusing the news, and the Kessler twins, these beautiful older women that passed in Munich, Germany, the secret of their longevity, they were performers, they danced together, was discipline every day, gratitude time and again, which I wanted to put in the roof video. I wanted to say, uh, a grateful list keeps away the abyss. And I fucked up some. A grateful list keeps away the abyss. Gratitude time and again. Humility, not cockiness, and togetherness until death. And if you don't have a twin, then you have to do your girl self and your male self, which I'm dead. Being a twosome only has advantages. Together you are stronger. So, and if you don't have a twosome, if you just have a onesome, you have to pretend you have a twosome. Like I married myself, like that queen. The other thing I wanted to mention, just in passing, it's very interesting. The suicide of the young NFL player. I think his name was Nealand or Nealander. I'm not sure, and I don't know the details, but from what I understand, he was chased by the police, and then he was mentioning that he was thinking about killing himself, and then he actually shot himself. And I just wanted to say it's very sad, it's very tragic, um, when these people, in no matter what position in their lives, there's Chesley too, was her name Chesley or Chris, I forget, the beautiful black young girl news commentator threw herself out of a building. Wow. No, but my complaint is how the media handles suicide. It's always like there's a blackout on the details and the information, and then if you or anyone else that you know or a loved one in your family is thinking about committing suicide, please call the number. In other words, we're not supposed to address the reasons why because it's too uncomfortable. It's like talking about embalming or talking about shitting your pants or picking your nose or, the downside of, being in New York and all these really gorgeous people walking around and nobody's really communicating anymore because we're all on cell phones. And we're all so guarded and jaded. We have to get back to the garden. But I think it's really important to talk about suicide, having thoughts of suicide, suicidal ideation. I think it's so important. Even if you're just talking to, like me, like the therapeutic aspects of my video blogs, and I'm just addressing myself here. Um, what drives one to suicide? The only time in my life when I've really considered suicide seriously was when I had Lyme disease, and the pain was so intense in my arthritis that I was literally, and I hate that word, I don't use that word lightly, but crawling on my hands and knees to the bathroom to take a shit and a piss. There was so much pain. Now, if you're in that much pain, and the sisters, the Kessler twins, were turning 90, and they committed suicide, and that is an option. Also, to me, it's an option if, economically speaking, your life isn't comfortable anymore. Like in this apartment, I could get a very quiet Asian student, NYU student, to live in the living room and to pay the complete maintenance. I would never have to think about the maintenance again. And then my whole space is interrupted by another person. I would have to and we're due for another increase in the rent, which is really sad. But anyway, I digress in all these things. I think it's important to be able to address, thoughts of suicide, and I think it's most important how the question is, for me, is always like, how do you survive this? How do you survive not taking the razor blade out? How do you survive not jumping off the roof? That one's very easy. Too much pain when you land. I don't want to do. I don't want to deal with the smashing of my skull onto the concrete, which probably would just be a few moments of consciousness and then I would be out. But why am I talking like this? These are the weird things that you talk about when it's 4:30. You know, it's 4:40 actually, and I'm just about ready to go to bed. But I just wanted to say, if you do have, for me, thoughts of having suicidal ideation is number one, not to be ashamed of it. Number two is to share it with friends, a good friend, or a therapist. So many fucking therapists are so fucked up. Yeah, don't get me started on my search for a therapist now. I thought I found a gay one in this doofy organization, and there were a gazillion emails about what the co-payment would be, which the co-payment just turned into co-insurance. What the fuck does that mean? You know, like, and then the last email he said, well, your co-payment will only be $1 or $0. And then I said, wow, can I call you up and confirm this verbally because there's so much confusion? And then he responded to the email, no, I can't confirm that verbally because it could change at any time. Your co-payment may become $24. I'm like, I'm so fucking tired of this bullshit. It's being poor, but that's why I do these videos. I'm my own therapist. What do you want to talk about right now? I want to talk about suicide. Suicidal idolatry. Suicidal amahopta. Kamasang young boy. Suicidal, no. The point being here, what I'm trying to make, is when you have those thoughts, you acknowledge them, like being triggered like anything else, like, oh, my life is shit, you know, I don't have enough money, and I don't have a lover, and I'm horrible, and I'm ugly, and I'm getting old, and everything. And you let them flow over you like water. Like those little amorphous suckerfish on sharks or something, but, you know, you don't let them stick, you kind of let them drop up. Then you move on to the next moment. You don't stop in that moment and jump off the roof. You don't stop in that movement and take a lot of tretazone. You don't stop in that movement and, you know, turn on the oven. It's very, very simple. There was, I was comparing dental horror stories with this beautiful black woman, very strong, who was one of the leaders of the respite house in Millie's Retreat, Millie's Retreat respite house. And she was telling me that, you know, I started telling her, like, this horrible experiences I'm having with my so-called dental insurance from Liberty Dental, which should be called Tyranny Dental, run by Putin and Stalin and Hitler, because they're the worst fucking dental insurance. There is no dental insurance through Aetna. And she was saying, yeah, and then she told me this whole story that she had. And, you know, teeth are very important. Teeth are very important. And that's how the powers that be get you. Fuck you. That's like a mortgage. You know, you're fine for a few years, and then like 3 root canals, $2,100 later, and another $700 for the crown. We're talking $3,000. Thank God they're not bad, and I don't have any missing ones. But yeah, complaint. But what am I talking about? That so that when you have thoughts of suicide, don't act on it. Acknowledge it, see it's there, and then let it pass. Let it pass. You know, that again comes back to what? RESILIENCE. The powers of resilience. You will never be perfect. I radically accept this point in my life, who I am right now. Even all this truth, I'm speaking my truth. Some people would be abhorred, that would be disgusted by what I'm talking about. But I need to speak it to me. It's very important that I know my name and own my name. And my middle name is Resilience. So on that note, that's really all I wanted to share. thank you for watching again. This has been part 2 of November 19th. Stephen Oren with Cinemasaur.com. Out. Have a good day. Come for a great massage soon. Okay, thank you.